day.
Now we welcome Rodney Hall. He serves in the Mississippi House of Representatives. He represents District 20, serves as the Vice Chair of the Military Affairs Committee. Representative Hall, thanks for joining us.
Gerard, it's good to be back with you. Thank you for having me.
You bet. So you guys have been in session now for, I believe we're in the third week. What are your thoughts so far?
Well, I can tell you, Gerard, we're right here in the middle of the sausage-making phase, as I like to consider it. The committees are going. I think I have 3 committees that I'm sitting in on today, and then I'll go and listen to some of the other committee hearings that I don't sit on, just so that I'm aware of the issues that are affecting our state.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of stuff. A lot of bills have been dropped, filed, discussed. You guys are going to get them in committees and see if they can get approved in those committees, move them on out to the floor. Yep. I guess the big sweeping legislation that the Speaker of the House has prioritized is tax reform, elimination of the income tax. Ways and Means Chairman Trey Lamar, Representative Trey Lamar, he's the champion of this legislation. You guys took that up, passed it on. Yep. Senate now is giving some thought to that. It's our understanding the Senate is going to introduce its own separate legislation, which would reform the tax structure in the state of Mississippi. How do you feel about that legislation?
Well, Gerard, I can't speak for what the Senate's going to do. I haven't seen anything over there. But, one thing that I'm really proud of is the way our leadership has really studied this issue. Last year there were multiple hearings on tax reform. There were studies completed. And then ultimately we dropped the bill. And, even though I don't sit on Ways and Means, we all had some contributions. We're able to talk with leadership and address our issues. And I think because of that, we have a good bill. House Bill 1, I think, is a revolutionary bill for the state of Mississippi. And it's really going to make us competitive, change people's lives for the better. Okay.
Was that something that was controversial in your view in your chamber there in the House? Did it receive any objection, or did you get the feeling that everybody truly is genuinely on the Republican side, at least, behind this? I was in the gallery. I watched Representative Lamar, Chairman Lamar, present the legislation. Mainly also responded to some Democrat leadership objections to it. Seems like the Republicans in the House, at least, are aligned behind this matter.
Yeah, and, I would say that, it says something when every conservative member votes for it. That represents all corners of the state of Mississippi. And so I think that, the House and our leadership did a very good job of fleshing out the issues and trying to, draft a bill that would be good for Mississippi moving forward.
Yeah. We were just talking about a bill that was filed by Representative Rob Robertson, who chairs the Education Committee, that would require school district consolidation in the state of Mississippi, the end result being one district per county. We would go from the present 140 plus down to 82. The thought being there that we could eliminate a lot of excess and duplicated administrative and back office expenses. What are your thoughts about that, and what's your sense of how your colleagues in the House there will handle this legislation?
I don't sit on education, but I am keeping a close eye on the things that come out of the Education Committee. I've had a conversation with my superintendent in DeSoto County. In DeSoto County, we have just one district that covers all of the county. And so it doesn't have that large of an impact for my district and my area, but I do know that it is a concern across the state. Now, we have 82 counties, 140-plus school districts. That seems out of whack. But, of course, the devil are in the details. So I'm closely following it. I think we have a committee hearing today on it that I'm going to try to sit in on.
I see.
Just to learn up a little bit more on it before we take it up on the floor.
I see.
If that happens.
I see. And then the other bill we've been talking about related to education is one that would expand some school choice options in the state. It would allow students that are enrolled in a D or F district, and a student that was enrolled in a D or F district within the last 5 years, in fact, to change schools, to have the state funding follow them to their school of choice, including a private school, provided that private school adheres to the various accreditability standards. What are your thoughts about that legislation?
Well, I'm a big proponent that, government should be there to help solve some problems, but they can't solve all the problems. And education freedom is important. Parents need to have a choice. And, last year I was a co-author on a bill that gave military families school choice, and I was very proud of that. Now, we still have some tweaking to do on that bill to make sure that our active duty National Guardsmen and reservists are also included in it, because they're forced to move all across the state in service to our state and our country. But again, that's one of those things. The devils are in the details. I want to make sure that we're doing it appropriately so that it actually has an impact, that, the kids and the students, they get the education that they deserve so that they can be competitive in the market that they're going to see tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, what else? We talked education a bit. We talked taxes. What else you working on down there?
Well, we had a hearing today on military affairs, and we passed a couple bills that I'm proud to see come out of committee and hopefully come up on the floor soon. One bill I've been a big proponent of, House Bill 1268, is the Mississippi Save Our Service Members Act, and it really goes to the heart of trying to find ways to save our service members that are struggling with mental health or suicidal concerns. And, a lot of people forget that we still have men and women, Mississippians, going down range every day. We have folks in the Middle East. We have folks in Europe, out there on the Western Flank in South America. And when they come home, they still go through some challenges. And so that's a study. I feel really good about it. And I think that will really help save some lives. But another bill that you'll see is the Strong Act. And this one is brought to us by the Guard, and it really gets at the heart of our recruiting and retention challenges. And I'll tell you, we are probably short over 2,000 service members in the Mississippi Guard, and that shortage has repercussions. If we lose service members, we lose force structure. If we lose force structure, we lose equipment, and we lose our capability to respond to disasters that happen in the state. You look in North Mississippi and Amory, where we had a tornado, and we're kind of due for another big disaster as we come up on the eve of the 20-year anniversary from Katrina. And so our National Guard, they do a lot, not just for our country, but for our states and for our communities. And so we have to put the investment and the time to make sure that we're recruiting and retaining our talent in state, or we could find ourselves with a huge capability gap.
Interesting. All right. What about on the health care front? What are you hearing there? Any key legislation we might expect?
Well, PBMs have been a huge challenge, and they have kind of came under scrutiny across the country. Our independent pharmacists, they need some help, and also our citizens need to be able to get the drugs and medication that they need in order to stay well. And so I was pretty happy to see that we passed a bill on PBMs most recently, I want to say last week or the week before, that really gives us some transparency and gives us the appropriate data so that we can continue to move forward with measures that matter so that we keep our citizens healthy. But education, there's a lot in that space, and I expect that there'll be more to come out.
Yeah, I think there is lots of opportunity to do some tuning and tweaking there, and I know that's been a very high-profile and somewhat controversial issue for quite some time. Repeal of the Certificate of Need laws in Mississippi, any action there you expect?
I've heard some rumblings of it. I think there will be something coming out of public health, but I haven't had the opportunity to go over there and see what they're doing in that committee yet.
I see. The ballot initiative, before we go, we had a question here on the C Spire text line. Do we have a measure for that this year out of the House, restoring that?
Well, we are meeting in Constitution today after adjournment, so I would imagine that it will come up. I have not seen a bill yet, but, that is a right that belongs to Mississippians that needs to be restored. We passed it last year in the House. It is a constitutional right for those that are that like to read up on our history and our Mississippi Constitution. And so I would like to see that right restored.
Gotcha.
And I think we're going to work towards something with our counterparts in the Senate sooner rather than later.
Gotcha. Sounds good. Appreciate you joining us, Representative Rodney Hall. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Gerard.
We're coming right back, folks, in the